In this tutorial, we're going to learn about discovering your own culture. We have used Australian culture as the example. If you have another cultural background, you can use the categories explored here to research your own cultural values. Just use the headings and try to research similar information about your own culture. Also, you could think about how your culture differs from Australian culture. Any culture is made up of individual people, each one unique in their own way. So no Australian is exactly like any other Australian. But a handful of core values and beliefs do underlie and permeate the national culture of Australia. These values and beliefs don't apply across the board in every situation, and individuals may even act in ways that directly contradict or flaunt commonly shared values and beliefs. But they are still at the heart of the Australian cultural ethos. In this tutorial, we will try to discover some of these values and beliefs and the characteristic behaviors that come from them. We're going to study a short guide to Australian culture provided by a university. It's designed to help international students to fit in as they study in Australia. As we look at the study, think about the cultural values that are implied and how a new student contemplating living and studying in Australia might feel as they read it. This study is from the University of Newcastle for international students. It says this: "There is no such thing as a typical Australian, and during your time here, you will come across a wide range of social customs, habits, and perspectives of life that may be very different from your own culture. Here are a few tips to help you adjust." As a student, it is socially accepted to greet fellow students or people the same age or younger than you by their first names. It's common in Australia for people to have nicknames, which are used amongst friends. If you are addressing people senior to you, call them by their surname with their title of Mr., Mrs., or Ms. until you know them well enough to call them by their first name. For the greetings, Australia is generally relaxed. It's an informal society, so you might hear fellow students and friends greet each other with hello, hi, or hey, how's it going? If you find yourself in a more formal environment, it is customary to shake the hand of those you meet and greet them with formal greeting of good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. However, if this is culturally unacceptable for you, let the person you are meeting know that they will generally be happy to accommodate your need. Use this as an opportunity to share your culture with the local community. For saying goodbye, in an informal setting, it is okay to simply say, "See you later," or "See you around." In a more formal setting, or the first time you meet someone, you might like to say, "It was a pleasure to meet you," or "It was nice to meet you." Please and thank you. When you would like something, it is customary to say please. Once you receive something, or when something is provided, say thank you. Australians are very big users of please and thank you. Slang. Australians insert slang into daily conversation, and it is done almost unconsciously. Don't panic. Here are a few examples. G'day would be good day or hello. See you later. See you later. You right? Do you need assistance? Do you reckon? Do you think so? Good on ya would mean well done. It's my shout. It's my turn to buy you a meal or a drink. If someone shouts, they shout you something, it's customary to return the gesture. And a toot would be the word for tutorial. Eye contact. It is customary to engage in direct eye contact with those who are talking to you, and when you are talking to them. This is not disrespectful, but a sign of interest and sincerity. Australians will make direct eye contact with everyone they come in contact with. As far as personal space, Australians like their personal space. This doesn't mean that Australians are unapproachable, but we do like our freedom when talking to someone, and be mindful of your position. Generally, an arm's length is a good distance to converse with someone, Any closer, and both of you and the person may feel uncomfortable. In the category of humor, Australians are known for a dry and laconic sense of humor, involving light-hearted banter, which is commonly referred to as stirring. Don't panic if you don't understand Australian humor straight away. As your knowledge about the country grows, you too will join in on the laughs. Social invitations. If you receive a verbal or written invitation to an event, it's customary to RSVP to the host to inform them that you're accepting or declining of the invite. If you are asked to join or go with a group to a social outing, you are expected to pay for your own expenses. If you are invited to a friend's house for a meal, it's customary to ask if you could contribute to the meal. This just might seem like something simple, but a bottle of water or a drink or a platter of food. Some parties maybe bring your own, which means bring your own food or drink. Invitations may include bring a plate, meaning bring a plate or a food to share with other guests. As far as dress in Australia tends to be casual, with jeans and t-shirts. Some workplaces require business attire, while occasions marked as formal will include the type of dress required. Queuing, or lining up. If you are waiting for a taxi, a bus, a ticket service, or a cashier, it's customary to wait your turn and not to push. Pushing and not waiting for your turn will not be tolerated. Punctuality. While Australian society is relaxed, it is customary to keep your appointments and to turn up on time. If you are running late for an appointment or an occasion, always call to explain before the event. Equality. Australians believe that everyone is equal, regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, or social standing. Australians enjoy equal social, legal, and political rights, which are protected by the Australian Constitution. Here is the agreement called Australian Values Statement, which applicants for an Australian visa or a long-term visa are required to sign before being granted a visa. This is from the Australian Government Department of Immigration and Citizenship. Notice as we read it the importance that is placed on societal values in people wanting to become Australian citizens. It says, I understand Australian society values respect for the freedom and dignity of the individual, freedom of religion, commitment to the rule of law, parliamentary democracy, equality of men and women, and a spirit of egalitarianism that embraces mutual respect, tolerance, fair play, and compassion for those in need, and pursuit of the public good. Australian society values equality of opportunity for individuals, regardless of their race, religion, or ethnic background. The English language, as the national language, is an important unifying element of Australian society. I understand that if I should seek to become an Australian citizenship is a shared identity, a common bond which unites all Australians while respecting their diversity. Australian citizenship involves reciprocal rights and responsibilities. The responsibilities of Australian citizenship include obeying Australian laws, including those relating to voting at elections and serving on a jury. If I met the legal qualifications for becoming an Australian citizen and my application is approved, I understand that I would have to pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people. Remember that this is not so much about Australia, but it's an example to get you to think about your own values and your own cultural systems and how they come forth in different writings or institutions of your country. Some insight into cultural values can be gained by examining common expressions people use in everyday conversation. These common expressions often reflect widely shared values or beliefs. We will look at some common Australian sayings with a description of the value or belief that they might be expressing. He thinks he's better than so-and-so. She's always putting on airs. That person should be cut down to size. He's got tickets on himself. The value or belief expressed there would be egalitarianism. Australians are sensitive and resistant to class distinctions. Cut the tall poppy. There are consequently relatively few class of differences. This can sometimes manifest itself in Australians seeming to others to be disrespectful, to resent superiors, and to resist control, or to prefer to bargain with management because they assume subordinates share equal interests and capabilities. You're not wrong. I don't think much of that. That's not bad, meaning that's good. It's pretty ordinary, meaning it's quite bad. Those values and beliefs express kinds of expressions using understatements that are often used to indicate familiarity and a closer relationship. Some other common examples are diminutives: arvo, the afternoon; barbie, barbecue; smoko, cigarette break; Aussie, Australian; and prezi, present or gift. This may also be done with people's names to create nicknames. An example, Loza for Laurie or Lauren, or Clarky for Mr. Clark. Sometimes to others, Australians can seem terse, non-committal, and understated, or overly casual in conversations. No worries. Good day, mate. Good on you. The values and beliefs expressed there would be casual optimism, amiability, friendliness, and an expectation of shared attitudes, a proneness to easy mateship. Fair go. Come on, give us a break. The value expressed there would be a reasonable chance, a fair deal. Everyone is entitled to consideration and to getting a fair deal. All citizens have a right to fair treatment. My mates are coming over. You can rely on your mates. The value and beliefs expressed there would be mateship, value inherent qualities in others, rather than external achievements. Friends and membership groups take a long time to establish. Relationships are long-lasting and meaningful. Friendship involves a very strong sense of obligation. You always help your mates no matter what. Expression of camaraderie and equality. Stand on your own 2 feet. He's doing it tough. The values or beliefs expressed there would be a respect for battlers, making ends meet, and getting through tough times without whining. People who don't pull their own weight are bludgers. You've got to laugh. Don't worry, she'll be right. Such is life. The value or belief expressed there is whatever is wrong will right itself with time. A philosophical acceptance of the bad things that happen in life. This could be considered to be either an optimistic or apathetic outlook. Can you think of other expressions, ones you use yourself or that are common in your family? Write them down and then consider the value or belief they represent. Here is a list of values or cultural characteristics that have been said to be common to Australians. As we read the list, think about yourself. Do you think all or some of these apply to you? Also, think about whether in your own case you would tend to put these characteristics down to individual personality rather than as shared in a culture. They enjoy disagreement and don't care for what others think. They use humor frequently, often injecting a certain amount of cynicism or irony to any situation, or are inclined to use humor under stress. They are generally laid back. Work rarely comes before friends. Overtime isn't accepted unless the reason is extremely important. They need to be convinced of the usefulness before the value of work is seen. evaluate their own behavior based on their own feelings and preferences rather than outside influences. They tend to be inflexible. Achievement is not so important. Position and honors are minimized. More free time is important, salary less so. Are willing to take risks, to have a go at a thing. Only begrudgingly give credit and don't expect praise. And comfortable with conflict and invite argument. We have identified some of the values that are common to many Australians. In any culture, it is important to realize that values don't just happen. They are formed in response to real factors in history, geography, or development of a country. Our values and beliefs are a result of our national experience. This is true of every country's culture. So where do Australian values come from? The beginning of an Australian national identity dates back to the time of early European settlement. Influences on the developing culture at that time comprised a composite of British or Anglo-Saxon heritage and the harsh conditions of the settlement. So physical toughness, mateship, and the ability to withstand hardship were foundational in the development of an Australian identity. Over time, other factors of historical significance have influenced the development of a national identity. For instance, factors related to the gold rush days, federation, the Depression, the World Wars, and the development of an Anzac tradition, immigration, and the internationalist era of today. Trends that emerged in the 1970s and 80s that provided an impetus for change in national identity included multiculturalism, Aboriginal nationalism, and republicanism. Today, it is very evident that Australia's multiculturalism has influenced all aspects of Australian life, including business, the arts, cooking, sense of humor, and sporting tastes. The immigration program for skilled and family migrants and a humanitarian program for refugees and asylum seekers has received more than 6.5 million migrants from every continent. The population tripled in 6 decades to around 21 million in 2010, including people originating from 200 countries. Today, more than 43% of Australians were born either overseas or have one parent who was born overseas. The population is also highly urbanized, with more than 75% of Australians living in urban centres, largely along the coast. As you can see from our example of Australia, its history and its values and beliefs represent real examples. What would it be like for your own country, and how would its historical background or the values and beliefs expressed in the country be done in the same way?